Hello all. Another topic from the gastrointestinal system, that is amoebiasis. Amoebiasis, this is a most common disease which is observed in developing countries. The main reason for that because poor environmental sanitation and the low socioeconomic status are the important factor in a spread of the disease, which mainly occur because of contamination of food and water. What is amoebiasis? It is a infectious disease which is caused by the Entamoeba histolytica. It mainly affect the colon, but uh, other organs may also be affected with the Entamoeba histolytica, like liver, lung, brain. All these are involved, and there is a chance to develop secondary infection. Entamoeba histolytica exists in two forms. One is trophozoite form. This is the trophozoite form, and another form is a cyst form. So there are two main form of Entamoeba histolytica. Regarding the life cycle of Entamoeba histolytica, if the cysts of amoeba are consumed by the human beings, so when it is consumed because of either there is a contamination of food or water, after consumption, the cyst through GI tract reach to intestine, and where it release mm, consumed food contain a cyst. Once it reaches to an intestine where the cyst is releasing a trophozoite form. This trophozoite form, they were leave on the intestinal surface as a with the other organism, and the large and the at that time person cannot felt any symptoms, but those trophozoite form, if at least 1% of the cases where the trophozoite form may invade the GI mucosa, here you can see that trophozoite form can invade the mucosa and form an ulceration, and due to that the person may passes mucus and blood in the stool. That is known as an acute dysentery. If it is not treated, person uh, treated may pass on to a chronic amoebic dysentery. Those trophozoite form which are living on a surface, or those trophozoite form which are still there in intestinal tract, they again form a cyst, and that cyst is infected cyst that can further pass on with the stool, and that can again contaminate the food and water. So fetal contaminated of food and water is mainly because of presence of infected cyst in a colon. There are cases which are asymptomatic, but they are continuously passing a cyst. Therefore, they are the main reason they are spreading the infection without any development of symptoms. They are mainly known as an asymptomatic carriers. Sometimes those trophozoite form through circulation, uh, through blood. They reach in to other organ. The one of the major organ which is involved is a hepatic cell, and they are likely to produce a hepatic amoebiasis. There are other organs which are also involved like lung, brain, kidney, but they are less common. Most common is hepatic amoebiasis. Regarding the clinical presentation, many infected person who passes the cyst in a feces, however, but they are asymptomatic, and they are act as an carrier to contaminate food and water. So they are asymptomatic. Second one is person may having mild to moderate intestinal disease where there is a no any known dysenteric colitis is there. When the person may having some symptoms like diarrhea, but there is no any presence of blood and mucus, and that is a mild condition, mild or moderate condition. Acute or severe amoebic dysentery, it is mainly associated with the bloody and blood and mucus which are present in a feces, and a person may having severe abdominal pain, so mainly associated with the dysentery. And chronic amoebiasis usually, this is a severe, but the chronic amoebiasis usually present with the some weak symptoms, like person may having anorexia, abdominal pain, and sometimes person may having either intermittent diarrhea or constipation. So that is a chronic condition. And hepatic abscess or other extraintestinal diseases, where the person may having other symptoms where other tissues were involved. How to diagnose that the person having amoebiasis? So various diagnosis tests are used, like stool examination, where you can identify the presence of cystic form or sometime presence of trophozoite form. Serological test and tissue examination for presence of Entamoeba histolytica. Now, those drugs which can either kill the trophozoite form or that can prevent development of cystic form, they are known as an anti-amoebic drugs. These drugs can be classified in various bases, but broad as an either tissue amoebicidal drug or luminal amebicid drug. Those drugs which mainly affect those trophozoite form which can invade the tissue, which can invade the intestinal mucosa or other tissues. So they can be further classified as a for intestinal and extraintestinal amoebiasis. Major group is nitroimidazole derivative, congeners like metronidazole, tinidazole, ornidazole, sacnidazole, or cetronidazole, and other congeners were there, emetide and dihydroemetine. Second one is which is used for extraintestinal amoebiasis, where the other tissues where the trophozoite form were present, which are inhibited. That is, a drug is chloroquine. And there are luminal amebicid drugs, including diloxanide furoate, nitazoxanide, and hydroxyquinoline derivatives, and a tetracycline. So broadly, they were of two categories. We discussed about the nitroimidazole derivatives, and the prototype drug for that is metronidazole. It is a first drug which is used in 1959 for a treatment of trichomoniasis. It is then after it is found out that it is a more potent or amoebicidal drug which is effective both against intestinal and extraintestinal amoebiasis. The beneficial feature of metronidazole is that it is less toxic, as well as the cost of metronidazole is very less. It is not only effective against the Entamoeba histolytica, it having broad spectrum of activity against various protozoa like Entamoeba histolytica, Trichomonas vaginalis, Giardia lambia. All these are the protozoa which are inhibited with metronidazole, as well as various anaerobic organisms like Bacterial fragilis, Fusobacterium, Clostridium, H. pylori, Streptococci. All these anaerobic organisms are also susceptible with the metronidazole. Now comes to the mechanism of action of metronidazole. As metronidazole uh, mainly act on a trophozoite form. So when we are talking about the Entamoeba histolytica, it lacks the functional Krebs cycle and the oxidative phosphorylation, which is present in an aerobic organism to generate energy. So this anaerobic organism, they can derive their energy from the anaerobic oxidation. So how this anaerobic oxidation is produced? Anaerobic organism metabolize the pyruvate. They can metabolize the pyruvate to acetyl coenzyme. This conversion is mainly catalyzed by the presence of enzyme pyruvate ferredoxine oxidoreductase enzyme PFOR enzyme. The form acetyl coenzyme is further metabolized to acetate and ethanol by the enzyme alcohol dehydrogenase E enzyme. So this is the way anaerobic organism can generate their energy. Metronidazole is a prodrug. It contains a nitro group that must be that nitro group must be reduced. So as such, metronidazole is an inactive form which contains a nitro group. When it is reduced, that reduced nitro group is reduced and there is a formation of reduced metronidazole. Then it become an active moiety. That reduced metronidazole, it is highly effective against anaerobic organism because this reduced metronidazole, there is it bind with the it produces a various cytotoxic metabolites. Those metabolites can damage the DNA, and by this way they can kill the organism. Now, how this reduced form of metronidazole is formed? There are two ways through which there is a reduction of metronidazole. One is PFOR dependent activation, and another one is nitroreductase dependent activation. In a first, the in this reaction, it is which is catalyzed by the PFOR enzyme, in which this PFOR enzyme result in a reduction of ferredoxine to a reduced ferredoxine. When there is a formation of reduced ferredoxine, that can transfer its electron to a metronidazole. So that this can reduce ferredoxine can transfer electron to a metronidazole, and it can further reduce ferredoxine, can convert it further into a ferredoxine, and there is a conversion of metronidazole into a reduced metronidazole. So by this way, when the PFR enzyme can convert ferredoxine to a reduced ferredoxine, that reduced ferredoxine can transfer electron to a metronidazole and form a active form of metronidazole or a reduced form of metronidazole, and that produces a cytotoxic effect. So this is a first way. Second way, many anaerobic organism, they can having a nitroreductase enzyme that selectively reduce the metronidazole, and that process is, in which they can convert NADPH to a reduced form of NADP. So while conversion into this, there is a transfer of electron, and that can convert inactive metronidazole to an active form of metronidazole. So this PFR ferredoxin system, this system is absent in human beings. So we can see that metronidazole can produce only a cytotoxic or inhibitory effect to an organism only. They can't produce any effect on a human being. So main mechanism of metronidazole is to convert into a reduced form by two way, either through PFR activation or through nitroreductase enzyme. Regarding the pharmacokinetic parameters, metronidazole is almost completely absorbed. It is widely distributed in a body. Its therapeutic concentration is achieved in a vaginal secretion, so it is useful for a treatment of trichomonias vaginatis. It is also present in a semen and a saliva. Its metabolism is mainly because of oxidation and glucuronide conjugation. Uh, Due to that, that conjugate product is excreted in urine, and that can make a urine reddish brown. So you always tell a patient when they are taking a metronidazole therapy, do not afraid of if urine color become reddish brown. Its plasma half-life is around 8 hours. Uh, Adverse drug reaction profile. There are frequent and some unpleasant adverse drug reaction produced with the metronidazole, but they are not that much severe. They are like anorexia, nausea, metallic taste, glossitis, stomatitis. All these are the common adverse drug reaction produced with the metronidazole. If it is administered for the prolonged period of time, it may produce peripheral neuropathy and numbness. If in some severe cases of amoebic dysentery, if metronidazole is given by the intravenous administration, it may lead to thrombophlebitis of injected vein if solution is not well diluted. So these are the common adverse drug reaction produced with the metronidazole. Regarding the interaction, metronidazole can produce a disulfiram-like intolerance to an alcohol. Um, in the patient, those who are taking alcohol, and along with that, if metronidazole therapy is given, it may produce severe distressing symptoms, and that is known as a disulfiram-like intolerance. You all must be aware that disulfiram is a substance which is mainly inhibit the aldehyde dehydrogenase enzyme. That enzyme which is mainly responsible for a metabolism of aldehyde. When the person who are taking alcohol and if disulfiram is administered, there is an accumulation of aldehyde, and that may lead to severe distressing symptoms. And due to that, when the person can consume an excessive amount of alcohol, they would, due to those distressing symptoms, they would not like to take alcohol, and gradually they are the habit of alcohol is gradually reduced. Same reaction were developed if uh, metronidazole, if the person having a habit of taking alcohol and metronidazole is prescribed, it may produce intolerance to an alcohol. And another one is cimetidine like drugs, those drugs which are enzyme inhibitors may reduce a metabolism of metronidazole, and there is accumulation of metronidazole and produce a toxicity. In certain condition, metronidazole is contraindicated, like as it produces a neurological neuropathy and numbness-like effect. Person who are already having neurological diseases, we should avoid the use of metronidazole. As well, uh, the data regarding any harmful effect to a fetus is not available, but it should be avoided during pregnancy, and it is avoided in a chronic alcoholism. Regarding the therapeutic uses of metronidazole, metronidazole is best choice for a treatment of amoebiasis or the first line drug for all the form of amoebic infection. It is recommended as a, if it is a mild cases, then it is given as a 400 milligram 3 times a day for 7 days. If there is an invasive dysentery is there, metronidazole is given as a 800 milligram 3 times a day for 10 days therapy is given. And if severe liver abscess is there, then higher dose, that is 1 gram, which is given slow IV, followed by half gram every 12 hours till the patient is able to take it orally. Second one, it is used for a treatment of giardiasis. It is highly effective in a dose of 400 milligram 3 times a day for 7 days. For treatment of Trichomonas vaginitis, it is a drug of choice where it is given as a 400 milligram TDS for 7 days. When this infection is developed and when there is a recurrent infection of Trichomonas vaginitis is developed, it is always advisable that the male partner should also be treated simultaneously with the same dosing regime. Then, for a treatment of anaerobic infection, uh, those infection, anaerobic bacterial infection, occurs mostly after uh, abdominal surgery. So metronidazole is an effective drug for this, and it is generally only metronidazole is not sufficient. Along with that, other antimicrobial agent like gentamicin or cephalosporin were given in combination because there is a no, we cannot confirm at that time that it is only due to a there is a chance for a develop infection is because of mixed infection. So metronidazole given with the other antimicrobial agent to better coverage. Then for a treatment of Pseudomonas membranous enterocolitis, which is caused by the Clostridium difficile, it is generally associated with the use of antibiotic. Excessive use of antibiotic may lead to this infestation. Uh, it is more convenient and it is more effective drug because the toxic there is a less toxic potential as well as the best drug for a treatment of pseudomembranous enterocolitis is the vancomycin, but vancomycin may produce various toxic reaction which are not associated with the metronidazole. Then for ulcerative gingivitis, metronidazole is given as a 400 milligram 3 times a day. And for a treatment of H. pylori infestation, metronidazole, which is one of the component for a triple drug regime for H. pylori infestation, where it is given in a combination with either amoxicillin, clarithromycin, and the proton pump inhibitor, where one of the drug is from metronidazole. Second congener is tinidazole. It is a longer acting and it is better tolerated than the metronidazole due to lesser side effect. It can be given as a uh, we can see that it can be given as a single dose, single 2 gram once a day dose therapy is uh, for amoebiasis. Single dose 2 gram once a day for 3 days therapy is given for amoebiasis, while for other infection only single 2 gram dose is sufficient, whether it is uh, a trichomonias vaginitis, whether it is for anaerobic infection. Sometimes single dose of tinidazole is other nitroimidazole derivatives like ornidazole, sacnidazole, or satronidazole. Or ornidazole is almost similar to almost similar to tinidazole. Plasma half-life is 12 to 14 hours, given as a 2 gram single dose for 3 days in amoebiasis. Sacnidazole, it is a longer acting. Compared to tinidazole, plasma half-life is 17 to 29 hours. So it is in almost all indication it is given 2 gram as a single dose. Another one is satronidazole. This nitramidazole derivative, its plasma half-life is 14 hours. Advantage of it is better tolerability there is a less GI related side effect in comparison with the metronidazole, and there is a less chance for a development of disulfiram-like intolerance. It is given in a dose of 300 milligram twice a day for 5 days. Another group, which is also a tissue amoebicide drug, imitin. It is a alkaloid obtained from ipecac, which is a Brazil root, while dihydroimitin, it is a semi-synthetic congener. They directly affect the trophozoite, but they doesn't having any effect on a cystic form. When it is administered orally, it's having poor absorption, so they are always given by the parenteral route. Uh, any of the route is preferred. It is excreted very slowly in urine. It takes almost 1 to 2 months. There is a chance to produce a cumulative toxicity if the doses are repeated at a shorter interval. Generally, they are not used because of severe cardiac toxicity. So it may produce hypotension, tachycardia, ECG changes. Due to that, the use of imitin is only in some reserved cases where metronidazole is not tolerated by the patient or metronidazole is ineffective. At that time, it is used. And if at all you have to prefer, dihydroamitin is preferred because it having being a synthetic congener, it having less toxic potential in comparison with the imitin. Another one is chloroquine. Chloroquine kills the trophozoite form but not having effect on a cystic form. So chloroquine is highly concentrated in a hepatic tissue. So it is a produce a toxic potential against the trophozoite form which are present in a hepatic cells, and it is highly effective against for a treatment of hepatic amebiasis. Chloroquine is completely absorbed from the small intestine, so it is not effective against the invasive dysentery which are present in a colon. Doses for amoebic liver abscess is 600 milligram for 2 weeks for 2 days, and then it is half the dose, that is 300 milligram, given for 2 weeks of therapy in case of hepatic amebiasis. Then uh, diloxanide furet. It is a luminal amoebicide drug. It is highly effective against those trophozoite forms which are responsible to produce a cyst in an intestinal lumen. When they are reached into an intestinal mucosa, the furet ester is hydrolyzed in the intestine and they are releasing diloxanide. That released diloxanide is largely absorbed. So only its furet ester is responsible to kill the trophozoite form which are able to form a cyst. So they are not as such. Single drug is not is we can say that it is ineffective. So it is given along with the nitronamidazole therapy for a complete eradication of Entamoeba histolytica, as it removes the cyst from the intestine. So nitronamidazole derivative, they can kill the trophozoite form in the mucosa, while diloxanide furet or luminal amoebicide drug, they can clear the cystic form. So it can be used also, it can, if at all it is used in a, as a single drug, it is used in an asymptomatic carrier who are continuously passing a cyst in their feces. They can be treated with a single diloxanide therapy, where it is given as a 500 milligram TDS for 5 to 10 days therapy. Another one is nitazoxanide. It is a prodrug which, after absorption, it is converted to its active form, that is digoxanide, which is an inhibitor of a PFOR enzyme as like as a metronidazole, that is an essential pathway for electron transfer, electron transport energy metabolism in an anaerobic organism. It is an alternative luminal amibacid drug in amoebic dysentery. It is indicated in giardiasis, as well as it is also used along with the nitroimidazole derivative for a complete eradication of cystic from the intestinal mucosa, which is given in a dose of 500 milligram twice a day for 3 days. Then there is another derivative, that is 8-hydroxyphenolene. It contains a 2-congener iodochlorhydroxyquine or diiodohydroxyquine. They are uh, they are used in the past, but now the use is reduced. They are active against the uh, Entamoeba histolactica. They can kill the cyst-forming amoebic trophozoite in the intestine, but they do not cross the intestinal mucosa and kill the tissue. Do not kill the tissue trophozoite form which are present in tissues. So they are used in a mild amoebiasis. The major drawback of 8-hydroxyquinoline derivative is that the adverse drug reaction. They may produce various GIT-related side effects, but the most common one, the adverse drug reaction, which is not observed in India, but in certain countries like in Japan, when 8-hydroxyquinoline derivatives they were used for the prolonged period of time, person or some children may develop a subacute myelooptic neuropathy, which may lead to visual disturbance. Due to this adverse reaction, which is mainly developed around 1970, at that time, due to development of this adverse drug reaction, the use of hydroxyquinoline derivatives in Japan is banned. But the similar reaction were not observed in other countries. So they are still continue to be used in other for a treatment of mild cases of amoebiasis. Another drawback of 8-hydroxyquinoline derivative, that is the iodism and goiter. These are mainly developed on a prolonged intact because it contains a high amount of iodine. It is given in a dose of 500 milligrams 3 times a day for 7 days in intestinal amoebiasis, as it is an alternative to an diloxanate furoate. And the last group is tetracycline. The older tetracyclines, they are incompletely absorbed in a small intestine. So when they are reaching to a colon in a large amount, they can inhibit the bacterial flora with which Entamoeba live in a symbiotic relationship. So they can reduce the proliferation of Entamoeba. They indirectly reduce the proliferation of Entamoeba in a colon, and they are especially used in a chronic cases who have only those cases they are not be completely eliminate the cystic from the by using a nitroimidazole derivative or a luminal amibacid drug. At that time, that can be used. Tetracycline can be added with the therapy for complete eradication, where it is given in a dose of 250 milligram 4 times a day for 15 to 20 days. And lastly, the treatment of amoebiasis. First, acute or invasive intestinal amoebiasis. For amoebic dysentery, a single adequate course of treatment is sufficient. And for that, metronidazole or tinidazole are the drug of choice, which can give a quick symptomatic relief. Along with that, uh, a course of luminal amibacid drug should also be given to complete eradication of Entamoeba histolytica from the colon, and it can prevent uh, uh, prevent the passing of cyst in a feces. Along with that, if diarrhea is present, we have to take adjuvant measure for a diarrhea. So for that, if the abdominal pain is there, we have to give a appropriate treatment for that. So not only anti-amoeba histolytica treatment, but other measures should be taken care. If metronidazole is ineffective at that time, in case of those cases, we can treat it with the dihydroamidine. Mild intestinal amoebiasis or asymptomatic cyst passer, nitramidazole afford a rapid symptomatic relief in a mild symptomatic intestinal amoebiasis. But the they are not able to clear the cyst form. So to clear the cyst form, it is necessary to use a luminal amebicide drug, either duloxetine furet or 8-hydroxyquinoline derivative. So the luminal amebicide drug are the used as a single drug in an asymptomatic cyst passer, but if some mild symptoms were there, then it is necessary to use nitroimidazole derivative. Chronic cases, we have to add tetracycline uh, along with the luminal amebicide drugs. Lastly, for a treatment of amoebic liver abscess, it is a serious condition in which complete eradication of trophozoite from the liver is necessary. So why it is necessary? Because if trophozoite form in a hepatic cell are present, they are likely to produce a relapses. So to prevent relapses, it is necessary to eradicate trophozoite from the hepatic cell. So first we can give a metronidazole and trinidazole therapy. They are the first choice. If it is not tolerated, then we can use a dihydroamidine uh, that can be given. That is followed by the luminal amebicide drug therapy, and along with that, chloroquine therapy must be administered to clear the hepatic trophozoite. So three drugs must be given in case of hepatic amoebiasis. So this is all about the treatment of amoebiasis. Two major group of drugs are used: tissue amebicide drug and luminal amebicide drugs. Both are used simultaneously to complete eradication of Ant-amoeba histolytica, whether it is a mild cases or a chronic cases. If hepatic amoebiasis is there, we must have to add chloroquine to clear the presence of trophozoite form in a hepatic cell. Thank you.